Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be sharing the first video in a series of violin tips and tricks videos, and this one is going to be on how to tune your violin. So I'm making these videos specifically for Sistema violin students, but I will be sharing it on my own YouTube channel so anyone interested can watch the videos. So tuning is one of those things that everyone expects you to do, but it's actually kind of tricky on the violin. So many violins have these fine tuners, especially student model violins, but fine tuners will only go so far, especially if the instrument is very, very out of tune. So we're going to talk about how to use the pegs and use them in a way that doesn't cause too much distress. First things first, you're going to need some kind of tuner. You might have a tuning device attached to your metronome, and those can be purchased very cheaply, but you also might just want to download an app. I use a free app called Master Violin Tuner, and what's great about this app is that you can both play the pitch that you're looking for, but you can also play into the microphone and it will tell you if the note is in tune. First, I'm going to start with my A or La string in solfege. So I'll play the A on my tuner and compare my open A string. So that sounds a little bit out of tune. It actually is flat compared to the tuner's A. So I need to raise the pitch. In order to do that, I'm going to turn the fine tuner to the right, so in clockwise direction. And while you're tuning, you can kind of hold the violin up. See if you can hold it with no hands and have your left arm come under and adjust the fine tuner while you're bowing whole bows. You might have to go back and forth between playing and checking with your tuner. But I'm pretty happy with how that sounds now. Now that my A string is in tune, I'm going to go to my D string and compare it to my A. Well, that is very out of tune, and it's so much out of tune that the fine tuners, which are only for small adjustments, is not going to put that note in tune. So I'm going to have to turn to my pegs now for the large tuning adjustment. Now, before you use the pegs, I recommend loosening your fine tuner a fair bit. So turning it to the left, counterclockwise, so that once you've turned the string and made it close enough in tune with the peg, you can make the correct adjustments. You don't want your fine tuner to be tightened all the way so that you can't make adjustments. So there's a couple ways you can use the peg. I recommend if it's your first time using the pegs, just place the violin on your knee and begin plucking the string. And the pegs aren't like a guitar tuner where you just turn up and it goes in tune. You actually have to push into the instrument while you tune up. So I'm going to pluck while I tune and push into the instrument. So I'm going to, with this hand, kind of be pushing in this direction, and with the left hand, I'm going to be pushing in and turning up. Okay, I'm closer. I'm going to go to my tuner and press the D string. Okay, it's quite close. Now the next step is just tune with your peg a little bit above the note and then tune down into the note. Now the reason that you do that is because if you tune a little bit above and then tune down with the peg, it actually keeps the string more in place. Sometimes if you just tune all the way up, it will slip. Once you're comfortable with using your pegs, you can actually try tuning while bowing and holding the violin in playing position. So it's the same kind of thing. You're pushing the peg into the instrument while you're turning. Turning up makes the pitch higher, while turning down makes the pitch lower. So I'm just going to double check my D string with the bow. And I'm going to kind of fiddle around with it. So my index finger is actually on the top of the peg. My thumb is on the bottom. And I can hear that it's in tune with the A. All of our strings are perfect fifths apart, so I want to hear a really nice perfect fifth to make sure that my string is in tune. And if I want to make any small adjustments with my D string, now I can use my fine tuner to make those small adjustments. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I've got my A string in tune, my D, and then I will go to my G. And you're just going to want to make little adjustments with your fine tuner. So you're playing your D and your G at the same time. You'll just want to make little adjustments while you're bowing. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Now I'm going to go to my E string. So I'm going to play my A and then play the E in relation with the A. Sometimes, of course, our pegs start to slip, and that can be for a number of reasons. When the weather changes drastically, the wood will actually change shape and the pegs will get finicky. So a couple tricks. You can try pulling out the peg and putting some pencil lead on the peg and putting it back in. That actually generally will put a bit more friction and will cause the peg to stay. There's also peg dope. I personally think pencil lead works better, and then you don't have to go out and buy something. Also, if it's slipping while you're tuning it, you might not be pushing in enough while you're tuning, so just be aware of that. Now, these are all just a couple of tips for getting your instrument in tune before practicing. It's definitely a difficult time right now for students where our lessons are online, and often our teacher might help us with tuning using the pegs. But let's look at this as a great opportunity to get comfortable with your pegs and your fine tuners. Now remember, these are just tips for tuning before practicing, but it's common that when you go on stage to perform, you will just do a quick check of your strings, and the expectation is that you're already well in tune before performance. I hope this video has been helpful. Feel free to share and leave a comment if you have any further questions. Enjoy and happy practicing.